most of that staff, Akio Otsuka made that character.
Sure,
Yeah,
and that's
sure.
fine.
And not David Hayter.
Sure, and that's fine. But, like, the perspective of everyone matters, not just the Japanese team.
I don't know. Like, there's a difference to me of like somebody who was part of the team and got fired, and somebody who didn't get asked back to do another contract gig.
But if I was him, I'd want to know why. Was my performance not great? Do you not like me? Am I asking for too much money? And maybe
Do we
he knows-
even know if they told him?
No,
in the-
he said it was
in the
radio
article.
silence.
Okay.
And that was why it was kind of
Well,
frustrating.
That is
that's-
frustrating.
That's frustrating. I'd rather just be told no right off the bat.
If in the interview, if he was able to like give a definitive reason,
I'm
you
pretty
could at
sure he
least-
said there was just tons of radio silence, and that was frustrating.
And again,
when he was asked if he played...
why was the Japanese voice actor for Snake maintained for 5?
Well, because his voice is never falling apart.
I think
Sure.
also...
That's still conjecture, though. You know.
anyway, during it...
No, Akio Otsuka sounds exactly the same in 1 as he does in 5.
But what I mean
But
is,
I would
like,
expect Big Boss in 5's voice to fall apart.
Yeah, I would expect
Anyway,
them
that's
to have
besides the
different
point.
voice
None of us
actors.
listen to him in Japanese, so none of us can really
No, because I don't.
speak on it, because we don't know.
The Japanese voice actor for Snake holds nothing.
Exactly.
and for hearing that David Hayter's voice has been
It's
hurting him
good.
since 2, like he then went on to record 3 more games.
Yeah, and you
great.
can tell.
But, you
It's
know what?
very obvious.
He says like he doesn't want to play through
Performance.
5 because it would just be 60 hours of
shame and
and
humiliation.
like feeling humiliated, and that's a fair sentiment.
No,
to
that's
have.
It'd be
absurd.
way less than 60.
That's not absurd.
It's way less than the
patently
60
absurd.
of,
Way less.
of
It is way less
Kiefer
than
talking.
60.
You know.
Granted, you have to stick with that thought in your head.
There's
but
a
the moment
weird,
he
there's a
opens his
weird
mouth, you know.
self-insert importance to yourself to view the game as your personal shame.
Plus, David Hayter can look on
His character, though.
No, it's not.
Especially
You
not
can
giving
look at-
not being given a reason. You know.
You can look at MGS5 and go, "Oh, I could have gotten paid for just doing this 20 minutes of voice acting that's in here
Yeah.
for my character."
Anger and frustration over the thing that happened, sure, but personal shame, come on.
He's not Japanese.
You don't own that
It's not like
character.
he has
The
personal
game isn't
shame.
about you.
No, but I think the reaction he has when he makes a tweak saying, hearing someone else's voice as Snake makes me feel a little sick. Like, that's a totally normal reaction for someone who's done that work for so long.
Yeah,
I think that-
it'd be
I
like
think
if
the
you got
words
like
making me
3
sick
parts
are
in
a
and they just
little
changed Dio's
overblown,
voice
though.
actor.
I could see someone going, "I'm really
Are
disappointed."
you talking
that
about
making
from
me
the
sick."
acting point of view or from like the consumer point of view?
I'm talking about but just that character, part of their identity just changes, just like that.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about like him and his view of it as an actor, not as like
If they
not like a
recasted
consumer.
Mark Hamill as Luke in the new Star Wars,
People would be
right?
so pissed.
It'd be insane. And Mark Hamill, admittedly, is probably sick of the character and everything. And it's not his; it's George's character.
And if he turned around
But-
and it was Kiefer Sutherland,
but it's
everyone would go,
still
"What the fuck?"
A part of his life. And if you go back and listen to the I am Spock, I am not Spock takes that Leonard Nimoy had coming to grips with the fact that this character is a part of him and such. It's a very
but those are
understandable
actors,
thing.
not voice actors, and
the same thing.
No, because
Holy
voice actor
shit.
there's like the voice actor shares that primary spot with everybody else who has ever done a different language.
Yeah, you're just super wrong on that. Voice
Like
acting
Mark
and
Hamill
acting.
is Luke Skywalker because he's the person there. Like David Hayter always, at the very least, had to share that spotlight with the other people who played Solid Snake.
Does Mark Hamill have to share the spotlight with whoever dubs him in Japanese?
No, because it's not the same thing. If they literally made a Japanese version of like A New Hope and like recast everyone in their roles, then yes. But that's not what we're talking about. Those are not equal measures.
No, but the
We're talking
idea.
about the exact same thing, where they took a game made in Japan and dubbed it in English.
Are you not
versa?
seeing how an actor who stands there and does the acting and performs the lines is not doing more than a voice actor who just does the lines and has
they
equal
act.
as no.
Have you heard of voice
no,
actors?
they act, of course. But I'm saying that when we were talking about dubs, when it's all dubs, like David Hayter's dubbing it in English,
But the
versus-
core idea that they shouldn't feel attachment to the characters they've played roles for is what you're talking about.
Not if they have to share
And
them
you're
with other
say-
people.
And you're saying the difference between
he never owned that character.
voice acting and regular.
He owned it. He owned it in my
And like,
head.
in what ways did Mark Hamill own Luke? He
Because
didn't. He didn't write him. He wasn't the same person. He altered his image.
Why should
to
his
fit
emotional
Luke.
attachment
Like,
be different because he was doing acting on camera versus voice acting versus
When-
someone
Well,
else who did theatrical acting.
Because there is no other person acting on camera with Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, whereas in the voice booth there is another character being Solid Snake.
No, but that's depending on when video games were
Okay,
recorded. 'Cause
okay.
the voiceovers. Hold on one second. When it doesn't happen all the time, and it happens very infrequently now. But there used to be a whole room of characters that would act and all had their mics and they were acting off each other. It's an increasingly rare thing. I don't know how MGS was recorded. I'm going to assume it was not recorded like that.
I believe it's solo
Okay,
in a booth.
so the Book of Mormon was on Broadway for a while, and it
Yes.
still is. And there's there's a second and third team that go out and do the traveling version in different cities.
Yes.
The main guys that played the two main characters in Book of Mormon are attached to those characters because they've played them for a while. There are other actors that play those characters. Should the people that have done this role for years not feel attached to the roles that they perform on stage?
No, because they gave them up and let other people do them.
But they do them simultaneously as the other people that do it in different
You can't
locations.
own something that's not yours uniquely.
I didn't say own. Never did the word own come up.
Well, you can't. Like,
I'm talking about an emotional attachment that you're saying is invalid because it happens to be something that is in a medium you don't see as the same thing. Like you're drawing
no, it's
a line.
about the amount of work put in.
Look, hold on.
It's about the character's emotional, the person's emotional attachment. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I actually get where Pat's coming from in a bit, in that if you're just a contracted voice actor, some of them view it just as work. They do the voice because they didn't really have that much input. David Hayter is a special case where over the course of like 10 years or so, there's been interviews with him where I've gone back and forth with Kojima. I've talked about with him. I've talked about with other actors. He had a little input. Plus, he was a writer, you know? So I can see from his viewpoint why he would feel a special attachment. If he gave this interview and they said, what do you think about you not being MGS5? He goes, it was just a job. Then that's also a completely valid thing. He has no real attachment for it.
Like Harrison Ford.
Yeah, like
They clearly, he does. But if you ask Troy Baker, what did you think about Man with Gun that you played in whatever fucking piece of shit that you played throughout your career? Inversion, or let's say he was in a voice on that. He would go, I don't even, it was a great experience.
But that's just...
But
Okay.
no, so
yeah.
I'm just saying that, like, there are roles that voice actors get attached to, and there are ones that don't, because it was just a job.
No, that's
and I think in
yeah.
MGS's case, anyone that was on that voice acting team, from Paul Eating to Cam Clark, what was the switch over with Gray Fox? One actor played him, they got rid of him, and they changed it with, like,
I'm not
Paul
actually-
Thompson.
The guy the black guy to the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I think for MGS specifically, because it's so much more going on in the script, and the characters have so much more to say, and there's so much more backstory. I'd say any person that was on that, I'll go, yes, you must have had an attachment, because that was a special job that you'll probably remember. Whereas, like, you're not going to remember your role in Inversion.
And even if the role,
I just wanted to say, like, I don't think because you're super right on that, and the only thing is I just don't think the medium matters, because in the same breath that we could say Harrison Ford was fucking done, and he looks at it and goes, yeah, that's just a job, right? Whereas if he talks about Blade Runner, he's like, oh my god, it was amazing, and he loves doing that role, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just different. That you can look at God, what is wrong with me? Star Trek.
Spock.
Not Spock.
Leonard Nimoy?
No.
Kirk,
thank you. And the fact that dude was like, what's his name? Damn
Chris
it.
Pine?
No.
William Shatner?
William Shatner was super sick of the fact that, like, he was super sick and annoyed at the idea of anyone else playing him. Right, and he was really angry and vocal about, like, he's like, that's me, that's my character, and so on. So it's just it can work in any medium, and it's just some people are more attached to certain projects than others. And I think that a lot of the time, like,
Yeah,
the
but
amount
William Shatner, it's the only thing he ever had going on.
Okay,
No,
if that
with the big gun
if
and
that
Boston Public.
Willie, if that's
That's
where
true,
you're coming
he was in
from,
Boston
I
Public.
understand your point a little better now. And my point is that you shouldn't get attached unless you're actually that character, because if not, you're just going to look stupid when somebody takes that role.
well, but he had how many years? Well over a decade of.
But he was never exclusively Solid Snake, never at any point.
But he had well over a decade of, like,
What do you mean
slam dunking.
exclusively? Who
So
else
what is
was
it?
Solid
Aki
Snake?
Otsuka.
So what does it
But
mean?
that's because it
what does
had
it
to
mean
have
to
Japanese
actually
voice
be a
acting.
character? What does that mean?
The only people that have like a rock solid like I am this character are the ones that play that character act that character
in front of the camera.
No, not necessarily, but in an exclusive role.
So
they're not dubbed. There wasn't a stand-in, and no one ever reprised that character's role after them.
Well, I was going to say, what about when people do?
If Luke gets
That's a weird standard.
What about recasts?
Luke gets
then feeling like you own or are attached to that character, like, oh, it hurts me to see somebody recast. You're absurd. That's dumb.
Like what about James Bond?
Episodes of Two Best Friends Play have been dubbed in Russian. Do you no longer own your persona?
No.
What about James Bond?
James Bond isn't even a person. It's like
but the idea still stands.
James Bond.
Pierce Brosnan or fucking anybody going back.
You were James Bond for a while, but you're not James Bond. If James Bond was Sean Connery and then it was over,
I just think
then Sean Connery could say that he was James Bond.
It sounds like you get the point, but you're just putting a really weird qualifier in front of it that I don't think needs to be
Yes, because it all goes back to me saying that I think that David Hayter saying that playing through the game is like 60 hours of shame is fucking absurd.
Yeah, it's because it's a bad game, not because...
No. It's fucking absurd because it implies either some personal failure or ownership that he doesn't deserve.
Sorry, it's a not great Metal Gear.
I feel like you keep going back to the word ownership when no one else is saying ownership. It's not about owning the role. Obviously, the person who
it's about that he didn't get it?
Role. It's not about that. It's about an attachment to the character.
Then why would he feel shame? That's stupid.
If David Hayter was
because he has like 100 bazillion Metal Gear fans yelling at him all the time.
But if
it's actually very different from a lot of other roles. The fans for Metal Gear are way more vocal than the fans for many other things.
But shame is a thing that you feel over you having done wrong, not over something bad. Like
you say shamed or ashamed.
Like if he got shown the door and it was like you are bad at this job, then yeah, he
all
should feel...
I think it comes down to is when you work on something for a long time and many entries at that. Like the person who played Chie in the original, thing got replaced. And like, if they don't have an attachment towards Chie after that, then that makes sense. That's fine, whatever. But if you play multiple games, the same character in the same role, and you've worked on this body of work, it doesn't matter what the medium is. It's the body of work and the time you've put into it that creates an attachment. It's not ownership. It's just you feel like.
Well, then why would you be ashamed of that attachment?
And because he missed one game. He could have completed the entire series, and he missed out.
But that's not his fault. So what the hell is he feel bad about?
But doubling down on that, people feel differently about different things.
No, that's stupid.
You should know just as well as anyone.
Everyone should feel the same.
And in fact, you should know better than people having taken psychiatry and studied psychology. Like you should know better than anyone.
The whole time, every time I looked at that stuff, I said, all these people are dumb. They should think about this smart.
Like the idea of him
I'm
missing,
thankful you're not a psychiatrist.
The idea of him missing one game and it's not due to anything within his control, it just sucks and it's a negative feeling to have, and I don't see why that's so hard to understand.
No, that doesn't. That's like, oh shucks, I didn't make it. That makes that makes complete sense. But feeling shame? That's so absurd.
Maybe that's.
It seems as though you're more bothered by the word than the sentiment.
I absolutely am. If the sentiment is that that word, then yes, it's patently absurd.
Why do you feel so much shame about someone using the word shame?
I don't feel any
Was it
shame
even
at all.
embarrassment or shame?
I actually don't know what the exact
What did he
quote
actually
was.
say?
60. That'll be 60 hours of humiliation I can't get to.
Oh, that's even dumber. That's even stupider.
And then he said, followed by.
I was going to say that actually sounds even more sensible.
Followed by the extremely reasonable sentence, it's just too painful.
Yeah, that one's like, I agree
that
with
is
that.
humiliation, like it's targeted at him. God, get out of your own ass.
Apparently it was. Why is he the only voice actor not allowed to return? Like, if I was him, I'd be like, who the fuck has a problem with me?
Ocelot's voice actor didn't return.
That's true, too. But he was a younger character than when he was played before.
Yeah, the boss is an older character than he was played before.
Well, it's like he played a younger and older version of this guy.
Richard Doyle didn't come back.
Yeah, but is he an old man? Does he naturally sound like that? Therefore, he can't sound
that's
younger.
Even
Well, but it's also like
So
I said
absurd.
before, like people are allowed to care
All right,
different
well,
amounts
yeah.
about things.
No,
like,
and I don't think we're gonna make any further headway in than this. So let's just.
I don't think there's headway to make.
It's like whether you get why he feels the way he does.
No,
or he
I
doesn't.
get it, and it's wrong.
Yes, feelings are wrong.
In this case, yes.
Alright.
He has nothing to feel humiliated over.
You're silly. You're a silly goose.
No, he did a good job with those games, and he was a contractor, and he didn't get fired, so what does he have to feel bad about?
Because you didn't get to finish the work.
You know what I feel bad about?
What do you feel bad about, Wooly?
When I look at new King of Fighters characters, and I look at them and I go, that idiot is stupid, I hate his design, I hate everything about him, I hate his stupid fucking color palette, god damn it, I have to use him, he looks
Are you
awesome.
talking about the kid, the South American guy?
I'm talking about Nelson.
Yeah, Nelson, yeah.
He's gonna be my fucking main character.
You know what? I misjudged you because when I saw that guy, I was like, okay, well, I saw his moveset first.
Yeah.
Because that's what you see of it. And I was like, oh my god, Wooly's all about that guy.
Yeah, no.
And when it zoomed in on him, I went, he's a little funky.
No.
But that's all I thought. And I was like, I bet you Wooly's going to go crazy over him.
No.
And you are, but again, only for the moveset.
Only because he's a boxer and I like boxing.
I bet,
What's
I
wrong
bet-
with his face?
But
I bet Wooly's got the first 20% of the tattoo on his chest of Nelson.
because you said like what's the difference between him and like your Rick Stroud love, and I was like, Rick Stroud's a complete character design.
You know, you explained it, and I was like, oh, yeah,
You know,
okay.
Nelson's
Vanessa's
got
a complete character
a
design.
really ugly color palette. He's got an ugly hairstyle.
What's wrong with his face?
Okay, if his face is just vitiligo, that's cool. I'm super on board with the idea of a
No,
character.
it's paint.
I don't know.
It looks like fucking paint.
If it's a dumb tattoo, then it's the worst thing ever.
It looks like paint,
but
bro.
if it's just a character with vitiligo,
I seriously doubt that.
that is a really weird
that's a
and interesting
stretch.
thing.
That's
I know,
a real
I know,
stretch.
but there's a
I don't want it to be vitiligo, because that just opens up another heterochromia for Japan to ruin.
Oh, he's a
Are you saying
Instantly.
you've got some fond attachment to people with vitiligo?
No, I just think they can ruin it
They can
harder
ruin
than
it?
anyone else.
Dude, I don't know. My
Because
cousin,
heterochromia is not cool anymore.
my cousin has it, and like it's just something that I'm like, that's something that people have, and I've seen it.
but not flame design.
No, not flame design.
That's what I
Certainly
mean,
not.
right?
No,
Like-
no. But the splotchiness of it and such is a bit like
Yeah.
It
doesn't look like-
Sandman.
Okay.
it doesn't look like the way Nelson's face has it. No, but if it's just the thought that someone as an artist designed a character
Yeah.
that had it, you pulled something interesting out that no one else
no,
did.
You just don't see that.
That's
anymore.
cool.
Instead, an
Yeah.
artist said, too dark. I'm going to splash some white on there.
You know, but if it's just a dumb tattoo for his dumb hair,
God,
and
you
his
wish
dumb fucking
you wish it was a
tire
tattoo,
track,
but it's not. It's going to be face paint.
it might
It's
be.
going to be him literally grabbing some paint on his hand and going.
But do you-
No,
but
with
you
his
know-
boxing gloves.
Yeah.
But do you know why it doesn't make sense as face paint? Is
Hey,
because
Nelson.
the
How do you
what
put
the
face paint
the,
with boxing
the
gloves?
part that would be paint looks
One of the
flesh
flames.
colored.
You're right.
And the rest of the skin is dark.
You're right. You're totally right. Well, guess what? The dark part's the paint.
Yeah. So anyway, alongside Nelson, sorry,
I was going to just, yeah.
alongside
whatever
Nelson,
characters.
you've also got the confront Athena's back. Whatever.
Hey.
Boo.
You know what? You know what?
Athena's back looks way better than
Yeah.
13 Athena.
Yeah. And you know what? Athena's a staple, and it's important that she's